Yeah, he's using moving as an excuse. Ass.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock at night. It feels like it's 11 o'clock at night, but it's 8 o'clock at night, dude. You ain't packing shit. Um,
But yeah, no, my issue with like there were a lot of people that had problems with the Rumble booking,
yeah,
but I mean my issue was they were just boring. Like they were just dull.
yeah. You know, and it's tough. Well, everybody is going to say this because like it's been said by so many people, like it's all about the finish, and just the finishes were so bland.
Yes.
They were just, here you go, you're out. Like there was no drama to it. There was no excitement to it. It just, here you go. Bye, Charlotte. Bye, McIntyre. Like you're just dumped over now. Like it was just, I don't know. So another thing that sucked for the women's rumble for me was outside of Michelle McCool, all the legends comebacks were basically a joke.
Yeah.
You could throw the Bellas in there too.
Look what they did to Mickey James.
Yeah, they did a decent little run. Mickey, I mean, she was in for a little bit, but like it just seemed like all the comebacks were just like blah. Like the whole, I mean, bringing Melina out at number 2 to get her thrown out in 6 seconds was stupid. Having Summer Rae on SmackDown a week ago, her coming out and getting destroyed, dumb. Like I'm trying to think of the other ones, but like the only one that was standing out in my head that had a good showing was Michelle McCool, which I feel like they did that before. Lita's still up and down for me, man. I'm telling you, look, I love what Lita's done in the past. I'm not excited about this Lita and Becky Lynch match.
The fact that they're doing it at the Chamber, I'm better with it because it's not a WrestleMania one. I would have been way more annoyed at that if it was going into Mania when you've got so many people actually on the roster. Now, whereas with the Saudi shows, they kind of have to bring in some of the legends because the oil money demands it.
Yeah.
So and since they can only resurrect Yokozuna so many times before they start to catch on.
I mean, I'll give Lita credit in the sense that she's one of the legends where with throughout this like whole revolution, and even back when they had the Evolution pay-per-view a couple years ago, like Lita never really stood out as far as like the comeback stuff. Like Trish Stratus stood out, and like you got a lot of these other girls going around working the independent scenes. Like Lita hasn't been doing that. She hasn't been wrestling. You could tell, when they were showing her within the last couple of years, but now like it seems like she's been working harder, like she's getting herself better in shape and this and that. Like, that I feel like she wants one of those moments in the sun that a lot of these other legends have been getting the last couple of years. So, I mean, I'm cool in that sense that they're giving it to her. Obviously she's got a good attitude and, persona and stuff like that. But I just got a feeling this Saudi match, man, this might be worse than like Brothers of Destruction versus DX. I mean, they might be that bad. I don't know. It very well might be.
Part of me wants to think that like Lita's been around the business long enough to not let that happen. Especially considering they've had so many other ones that have been stinkers, like Undertaker, Goldberg, DX, and the Brothers Destruction and all that. They've had that before, and so we'll see. Back to the Rumble real quick. Did you hear all the drama around Shane?
I did. Yeah. And I wanted to talk about that too, because how we were talking about how the Rumbles just seemed kind of like blah and smart. like when you watch that men's rumble, like people didn't seem into it.
No.
The big one for me,
and a lot of weird booking choices, like Big E going out as early.
That's the name that was just going to come off my tongue, man. Before you said that, was Big E. He did not seem to be into that match at all, and just kerplop, tossed aside.
And I didn't really notice it at the time, but in hindsight, but it was pointed out quite a bit that, like, wait a minute, Riddle's an MMA fighter. Why is Shane kicking his ass this badly?
Yeah.
But did you hear they released him?
Which is very strange.
Hey,
There's just, man, to be in the back room of that, because like obviously Shane has major influence and stuff like that throughout WWE, but like
he's the best wrestler in the world.
What's that?
He's the best wrestler in the world. He's got the trophy.
Yeah. So I mean, like he was off screen, and to come back and they let him go because of the booking of the Rumble and because how he was treating people and the sense of entitlement. I don't know. Like,
I heard there was some.
I feel like you would have heard those stories before.
Yeah, I guess. But he hasn't really been around that much. Like he pops up periodically, and most people just kind of like, okay. And from the way I heard it described earlier is like he would come up with these ideas, and people would just mock him behind his back.
Yeah.
But he apparently there was some sort of issue with Bad Bunny that I had to hear details on, and him burying Jamie Noble in front of everybody. Apparently, like that was it, and him trying to book himself into a WrestleMania match with Rollins and things like that. Like all these crazy things that keeps coming out about it. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean it is weird, but you do got to remember Shane gets the money matches at Mania, and for the most part he delivers.
Yeah.
So like I can see. I mean, let's be. He had a match with. The lowest one would be The Miz, who was a big star, but that was a hell of a match at 35. He fought Styles, he fought Undertaker. Like,
I mean, if I wrestled 3 matches a year, I could jump off the top of Hell in a Cell too.
Yeah. But yeah, like even at the end, like because they were there's the rumors going around about Lesnar pushing for what he wanted, and how he has to look super strong going into Mania and stuff like that. Like, strange because like to me, that booking was what a lot of people thought would happen, and like it just sucks because like those stories just don't make sense. Like, okay, Brock's just randomly at number 30, and like they never even addressed it. Like even on Raw, they could have came something somehow.
Most of the time, whenever you have somebody lose a match earlier in the card and then they show up in the Rumble, they're just like, oh, there he is. It's Bill.
Yeah. But it just sucks because like 30 is supposed to be like a special spot and this and that. But then I'm saying it has the reverse effect too, where Brock's being billed as the main baby face. And when you do that, you risk the crowd turning on it. You risk people turning on him because it's like, oh, here we go.
Which is why I think it was smart that they brought Ronda in at 28. Because if it had gone to 30 and Ronda wasn't there, the crowd would have been chanting for Ronda. And if it wasn't her, it would have been a Rey Mysterio thing potentially all over again. I don't think the crowd's not going to respond nearly as much venom as they did with the Daniel Bryan not coming in and them booing Ray. But when you bring her in toward like near the end, but not at number 30, you get a more genuine pop. Yeah. Everybody knew Brock was coming out at 30.
Yeah.
It's like if he didn't come out at like number 1, he's coming in at 30. You know what I mean? So it's just by the way, a little irritated because I don't think when Styles and Shinsuke, and that's the other thing, like who the final 4 were Drew, Brock, Shane McMahon, and Bad Bunny, I think, was in the final 4, wasn't he?
Yeah, because Riddle and Orton got eliminated by Brock before. Yeah.
So of all the people, okay, let's keep Bad Bunny in there, right? Because they're just because first of all, I got nothing against Bad Bunny. I
No,
think
nothing at all. He looked and
somebody
good
to
for
like
him, man.
come from a be a celebrity and come in and learn to do it correctly like he has and put in the time and the effort, so tons of respect. I mean, we're a long way from Drew Carey trying to bribe Kane.
Yeah.
But and even Johnny Knoxville with as much as he can't really take that many bumps, and for him to come in and do that was okay, and it was short enough that it didn't overstay its welcome.
In all fairness, though, what you said, Johnny Knoxville can't take many bumps. Well, rephrase that a little bit. It can't take many more bumps. Johnny Knoxville is probably taking more bumps than that entire
going forward. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So,
by the way, did you happen to see that? What happened at the Jackass Forever premiere?
Oh, when Sammy showed up.
Well, Sammy showed up, man. He had a ticket. He wanted to, watch the movie, and Johnny Knoxville chased him down the red carpet with a cattle prod.
I did not see the video, man. But I saw that the video existed. I didn't watch it. But wait, so in the Final Four, you could have had Kevin Owens. You could have had Orton or Riddle.
Either one.
You could have had Madcap Moss. Anything, but no, it had to be Shane in the Final Four. And that was one of the things, like, even when we were watching it, we're kind of like, wait a minute, Shane one of the final three? Like, when I got that, but I was like, how is Shane McMahon in the final three?
Well, and then when you got down to the Final Four, you knew, like, once Brock came out at 30, you pretty much, all right, you pretty much knew. But if that Final Four would have been RK Bro, McIntyre, and Brock, there's a shot. There's a shot Brock doesn't win this, because it happened a couple years ago when Orton beat Reigns.
AJ in the Final Four accomplishes that. Owens in the Final Four accomplishes that. Actually, I was going to say where the hell was Finn, but actually Finn was Finn was home. I'm trying to think of who else. Yeah, Big E. Big E's one. Poor Kofi, by the way.
Yeah.
He has one job every year in the Rumble.
Yeah.
And this is but that's that moment right there is kind of this year's Rumble in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Where even Kofi couldn't do his spot.
Yeah.
So
do you follow John Morrison on any of his socials?
No.
John Morrison put out a video a couple days ago. I think it was Monday or Sunday. And he put out a video of him where he talked about any of these young wrestlers that want to try something, to go do it and don't hold back and don't hide it. Basically, he had a video of himself training a couple years ago to do this spot in the Rumble where he was going to be on the outside on the middle rope, and somebody was going to launch him off the middle rope, and he was going to do a backflip and land on his butt on the barricade, and then jump back in. And it showed him training for it, and it looked wild, man. But I guess he said he never got the clearing for it. And
it's a really hard one to pull off.
Yeah, I mean, the video, like, he was doing it. It was pretty neat. Like, he definitely had a shot, but I mean, obviously, it could have just been like the Kofi thing. You miss. And
when you miss that, because if he's doing a backflip to sit, he's blind. He's blind to the crowd at some point during that.
Yeah.
So if he overshoots it, he's just taking out.
Well, that's probably why
if we're lucky, he takes out face shirt guy. But
no, let's not give that guy any credit, man. Screw that guy.
But
that guy and the guy in the lame collar and elbow T-shirt that sits beside him. And they never talk to each other because they don't have friends. Losers.
Moving on. So because we could probably do a video on that. But yeah, no, it was weird. Like even like with the Women's Rumble, there was there were more surprise entrants, yes. But even the one they did, like you mentioned earlier, they didn't utilize them. Like, they wasted Melina, they wasted Mickie James. They even called it the Impact Women's Championship, the Knockout Championship. Sean Junior was just like, wait, did they rename it? I'm like, no, they have a separate title You know, they have two titles now, just like WWE, and just move that because I was just like, I can't. It's like I can't acknowledge the fact that they messed up the knockout titles. But I mean, it's good. I guess it's good enough that they even just name dropped Impact on a WWE Premium Live event. But
Yeah.
But you know, like Michelle McCool had a good showing. The Bellas had a good showing. Of course they did.
They deserve it.
Yeah, I did like. I really like the idea of Baszler coming out at 30 because Ronda was there and they did nothing with it.
Well, they looked at each other and like gave you like a little fist bump, but like
there was a slight acknowledgement
thing. That Baszler Rousey thing, like that's just another missed opportunity. You know, you do that 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
When Shayna still had credibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they've just killed her.
Yeah, and it's very unfortunate, man, because like she could be your attraction. She could be your ass kicking attraction that they want Rousey to be. And
she ran the gauntlet in the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
had a
dominant chambers ever.
Yeah, had a pretty good. I mean, there are some people that call that the worst chamber match ever, but I'm like, I understood that. Like, I appreciated. I don't want to say I understood it because other people did and still hated it, but I appreciated the psychology behind it.
Yeah,
you know, that was storytelling, something WWE really doesn't do very much of in like long term. But you build her up. She was taking chunks of flesh out of Becky, you know, and you just have Becky win, and then she's leaving because you know she finds out she's going to have a baby soon. You've got a perfectly good Shayna Baszler sitting right there to because I think that Money in the Bank match was really the last big spotlight match Baszler had, at least as far as the title goes. You know, yeah, they paired her with Nia and they had the tag titles, but like WWE doesn't take it seriously. Why should we?
No, and those tag titles haven't been taken seriously at all since, like, basically after the first 2 months of them coming in. They still haven't done anything. Like, you know, and like just some, like, to me, stupid stuff like in the Rumble that just doesn't make sense. You know, Zelina Vega's in the Rumble getting her ass kicked. Carmella comes out and wants to sit outside the ring for 5 minutes, getting her makeup and her mask, and she's sitting there talking to the commentary table about how pretty she is when her tag partner is getting her ass kicked in the Royal Rumble. Like, you guys are the tag team champions, you know, but you just want to sit there and talk about how pretty you are to the commentators. So, like, even still, they still don't care about those tag titles. But anyway, but yeah. Like, she, you know, obviously it's a short showing because she came out 30 and, you know, gets eliminated or whatever. But, like, my God, man. My God. She could tear it up with anybody, you know?
And here's the thing, like, because the Final Four was Ronda, Charlotte. Oh, God, I don't even remember who was in the Final Four. Wasn't one of the was it the Bellas?
No.
Was one of the Bellas? No, one eliminated the other.
Was it? It was probably Shayna, and then
yeah,
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I don't even remember. But
I'm having a tough time remembering too.
But you had like, you know, and this kind of goes to the it doesn't really go with the underutilized because they utilize Nikki Cross just fine, but because she's on TV a lot. But you know, Nikki Cross was in there for Rhea was eliminated early. Was it Bianca was one of the last Final Four, wasn't she?
Probably, yeah.
But Sasha was out early,
which I was fine with.
Yeah, but I mean, it was still surprising. Because one of the pillars, you know, so you would imagine that they would go later. And like, I didn't need Sasha in the Final Four, although I was a little disappointed at no Bayley, no Asuka, no Alexa, that like no Caitlyn, none of the stuff.
Yeah,
you know, because they apparently had a bunch of legends sitting backstage just in case. Like I think I heard it was like Caitlyn. Oh God, I can't remember Oksana, and I can't remember who the other one was. It was somebody else.
Jacqueline?
No, it wasn't Jack.
Uh,
Yeah, but that.
Well,
But
you saw me.
didn't even use them.
Well, you saw from my board picks, 2 of my 3 picks weren't even in the freaking match.
Yeah, yeah. There were a couple of those. It was funny because on the board picks for the Rumble, everyone except one person had Brock on their board, and no one else's picks even made the final 4.
Yeah,
like because basically the rest of the board was like Drew, Big E. I think.
Oh, yeah, and then Shane and Bad Bunny.
Roman.
So,
huh?
Yeah, and then Shane and Bad Bunny. No one's picking that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I thought Drew was hurt.
Yeah, exactly. He was. Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
And let's talk about how like you're one of their surprise entrants, if you're going by who was not on the poster, was Ridge Holland.
Which is cool.
No,
I mean, I like Ridge Holland.
You have a perfectly good Cesaro sitting right over there. Where was he?
Yeah.
You know, it was that kind of irritated me.
Well, with that too, no NXT stars.
No, but I had a feeling there weren't going to be. If anybody,
there's usually one or two.
Breaker. Huh?
That's what for my woman's pick. The fact that they didn't bring up Raquel Gonzalez blows my mind. First off, she's awesome. She's legitimately awesome. She has the look. She could be, she can go with any of those girls in there, and that would have been a perfect pick because she hasn't really been doing much. She's still kind of chasing Mandy Rose for a title, but there's one even there, even Mandy Rose.
Hey, her and Cora Jade are going for the Dusty Cup now.
Yeah, Raquel. Yeah, but I mean, Mandy Rose showing up.
Yeah,
in the
and you could have brought Mandy up because she's, to your WWE fans, like the Raw and SmackDown fans who don't watch NXT, they know who Mandy Rose is.
Yeah.
So, they may be like, "What's that belt? Why is she carrying a belt?" But yeah. So you
no Ciampa, no Pete Dunne.
No Pete Dunne. I thought it would have been cool to see Io.
Oh, Io would have been a great choice. She's doing nothing. Like they have her now. Maybe finding a partner or something like that for the Dusty Club. I don't know, but Io Shirai, she's another one that's just getting wasted right now.
I mean, as far as the Rumble goes, I would have settled for Cora Jade because she's one of the ones that they want to build the women's division around.
Yeah.
Throw her in the Rumble. Get some eyes on it.
I mean, no disrespect. I'm happy like people cheered for like Melina and stuff like that. Like she got a nice little pop, but like,
yeah,
you eliminated her in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Like use that spot for other talent, like it's mind-boggling. It really
that's Dana Brooks' spot right there.
Yeah, the Dana Brooks spot. Yeah. It's frustrating. It was a frustrating Rumble match. The other matches were great, by the way.
Oh yeah. I thought the Roman.
I really said that.
I did not hate the end of the Roman Seth match. I thought it made sense.
Yes.
I don't necessarily think they quite conveyed the story enough for the ending to make sense to everybody, because it was simply that Seth got so far under Roman's skin that he got himself disqualified. I think I got it. So, but it didn't seem like everybody picked up on that, just from what I've heard, where it was just like, and then he got mad and got disqualified. It was a crappy ending. I hate it. But yeah, like if
that Shield entrance was brilliant.
Yes, yeah, that was great. I thought
that was brilliant. Nobody predicted that coming.
No, I didn't see it coming. But the finish protected both of them. In fact, if anything, it made Roman look weak for the first time ever.
Yeah,
which was a nice change of pace.
I'll tell you this though too with Seth. For the short build that match had, they are doing a very good job of all these new contenders coming at Roman. They're doing a very good job of making them look like legit threats. They really are. Like now, like this is the next biggest challenge of Roman's career, the next biggest challenge of Roman's title reign. They're doing a great job. Like even since they had Cena over the summer, and now they're teasing Rock.
he and Cesaro had a good match.
Yeah, yeah. But like now bringing in Rollins, so I mean, obviously Brock's next. I don't know if they're going to have anything else beside that within there, but like him and Brock have gone at it so damn much over the years. But I don't know.
I mean, there is something to be said about long-time rivalries, but Roman versus Brock, this is no Brett Shawn,
No.
This is not Steve Dwayne. It's just, and I think it's because at various points, although this may end up being their best run, because they've always wanted to cheer Brock, but he was the heel.
Yeah.
They always wanted to boo Roman because he was the face and they didn't like him being pushed on him, blah, 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 blah. But now, like, the pieces seem to be in the right places.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe, and especially if this is the end of it, that would be nice that they finally got all the, at least one side of the Rubik's Cube has all the same color,
Sure.
So
I think the key cog that's actually going to keep this feud going towards Mania, and that's going
Jimmy Uso.
What's that?
Jimmy Uso.
Well, naturally. Main event Jimmy. Co-main event Jimmy. But is now that you're going to stop getting this, hopefully, you stop getting this weird Paul Heyman vibe where like he's just like I think he's going to be more like direct now. He's going to be more like in your face, like I support Roman, this, that, whatever. And I think that's going to make it better. Because the last couple of months, like the whole, is Paul going to turn? Is Paul not going to turn? It was just kind of weird. It was kind of
they drug it out too long.
Yeah. But like and I love Paul. Everybody loves Paul. But like it wasn't, I don't know. It was just weird. It was just goofy, like it just you didn't really seem to care whether Paul was going to turn or not.
Yeah, because you kind of you kind of figured it was coming. The fact that he turned back as quickly as he did, I think actually
snip.
Kind of saved it a little bit, about as much as you could.
Yeah. So I think with Paul being more direct now and having a clearer direction, I think it's going to make for some fun stuff coming up.
I thought the Bobby Brock match was actually pretty fun too.
Yeah, they went at it good, man. I dug that a lot.
I thought I actually liked the ending of that one too. I think that was the best. If anything, all you did was you made Bobby look weak, but I don't think it hurt him that much because we just had an entire almost the entire summer, like since WrestleMania, we had all summer to watch how awesome Bobby is.
Yeah, Bobby's been the best champion in wrestling probably the last 8 months.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
All of wrestling, he's probably been the best champion. Like he was a monster, and then how he lost his belt, and then still worked his way into that Fatal 4, and then turned into a fight. But he looked great at day one. So I'm interested to see what they do with Bobby going into Mania. At this point, I have no idea. I really don't know. Who would be a good Raw challenger for him at Mania? I mean, we still got Chamber, and then another month and 2 months.
Because there's also the possibility that with Brock winning the Chamber match to do the title versus title.
Which I'm not thinking that's going to happen.
I'm hoping that's a misdirect.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, the logical thing would be Roman and the Usos somehow screwing him out of it, just to keep their thumb on him a little bit, Yeah. So I don't know, man. You look at those Chamber guys like AJ and Bobby would be a cool match at Mania.
Yeah, but I'd be even Riddle and Bobby. I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah,
Junior may have something to say about it, but really the only one I would. I mean, I don't know if Riddle Bobby is a WrestleMania match, and I don't think Austin Theory's ready. Like, in ring he's fine. I think that would be like if you're just watching it like with no context would be great, but WrestleMania, no. So if you know, and if you're going to take, if Bobby's going to go over, and you still want to feed off the chamber, you take Brock out because he's going after Roman.
Yeah.
Theory's not going to get that rub, and I don't think Riddle is either. Who you left with? AJ and Seth.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it'd be one of those two. Possibility of
and with Seth with his recent babyface turn too, it could make sense.
Yeah. You've also got the possibility of Big E or Kevin Owens, but I don't see KO getting a WrestleMania match out of that. I could see Big E get it.
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think he will. But I think like your options are, what show's Drew on?
SmackDown.
Okay. All right. I can't keep track anymore. So Big E, Seth, KO, and AJ would probably be your best bets on Raw.
Yeah.
So I mean, unless you want to send the Hurt Business after him. I like how the hurt Business is a thing every once in a while.
Yeah. When it's convenient.
Yeah. It's like, God, there was no reason to break that stable up. Like, even if you wanted Bobby to go out and like be a monster on his own without the Hurt Business, the Horsemen didn't interfere in Flair's matches hardly at all.
Yeah.
You know, you could still build a stable where they're not constantly interfering in each other's matches. So you could
exactly. Then it gets watered down, and the champions look weak, whoever wrestling looks weak, and it does get old.
You know, that's kind of what's happening with the Bloodline. You know, until I think they kind of course, because what they'll do is they'll make Roman look weak because the Usos are always interfering, and then they'll bring it back because then Roman will go over proper.
Yeah,
you know, somehow like on his own. And like this week, like there was not an Uso in sight.
Not at the entire Royal Rumble pay-per-view.
That's true.
Not even the pre-show.
You know, now that you mention it, Becky and Dewdrop, I could take or leave that match. Like the outcome was never in doubt. I've got I have fond memories of Viper, you know, before she was Piper Niven, before she was Dewdrop, and so like I know what she's capable of. But you were never gonna, between the fact that no one cared about the match and the WrestleMania sign melting during the match.
Yeah.
It was never really gonna amount to much. And then
the match it did what it was supposed to.
It was pretty fine.
Good. But in my opinion, and again, this is just me, but like Becky Lynch matches don't really do it for me. They never really have. Like, to me, I don't think of like classic Becky Lynch, like masterpiece matches. It's her ego, it's her personality that makes her fun. But to me, she doesn't have like just mind-blowing matches where I'm like, holy crap, I got to go rewatch that Becky Lynch match.
To me, you know what? They always make the comparison to Austin. Austin's career was very similar. By the time he was WWF champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he had the neck injury. His wrestling was limited. His matches weren't always that good.
No, it was just a lot of punches and stomps.
Yeah, but it was the crowd interaction, the personalities in the match and whatnot, you know, that made those much better. Now, if we would have gotten the physically capable, or like the physical capabilities of Steve Austin pre-neck injury during that run, we're telling a different story. And he's probably showing up at Saudi to wrestle. But so they always make the compare. They were trying really hard to make the comparison between Becky Lynch and Steve Austin, and I think Becky Lynch is talented in the ring, but when it's not one of the usual suspects, I do find that when she's the one carrying the match, as far as the not so much calling the match or being the one that has to do all the work, but the one that she's the star of the match, and she's wrestling someone that is clearly not, the matches tend to be a little dull.
Yeah.
You know, whereas when you've got Becky versus Charlotte, or Becky versus Alexa, even Becky versus Sasha, Bailey, you know, any of the ones that have kind of all been around each other and they know each other super well and whatnot. Even Naomi, Junior's going to hate the fact I even mentioned that. By the way, well, I'm just saying, it's like, but there's familiarity there, so there's comfort. They know each other very well. They're going from spot to spot, looks a lot cleaner, a lot more fluid. The matches flow a lot better. And when you put Charlotte against Dewdrop, Charlotte gets a much better match.
Oh, absolutely.
Sasha, I was kind of disappointed that Veer didn't debut in the Rumble, but
who didn't debut?
Veer.
Oh, I know. What the hell is going on?
They just won't tell him what arena they're in. They're waiting for him to figure. They're all in my head. They're telling him where last week's Raw was as a running joke.
Yeah.
And so but they also have stuff in place that he doesn't make it to the arena until 11 o'clock. And he's like, man, they cleaned up fast. You know, meanwhile, because it's all deserted. That's my theory.
You're just waiting to see online Veer is heading to the independent scene because he's going to get cut.
Veer is coming to AEW.
You know, wherever. Veer is heading to GCW. Veer is heading to Warrior Wrestling, to Terminus, all these different indie. It's just, and I'm telling you, it sucks, man. It sucks that they're doing this to Veer, because the dude's got an awesome story. I want to see this guy succeed, man. I think he, given the right, canvas, the dude can. I think he's going to be. In little spurts in the past, his offense looks good. He looks violent. But I just want to see the dude succeed, man. That dude's been through a bunch of crap, and he put himself out there, to get to where he's been or where he's at. And it just sucks because I feel like the fans are just so out of it.
Because they're doing. This is the same thing that happened with who was it recently that they were teasing coming back forever? I know they did it with Eva Marie, but there was, I think there was somebody else where they kept teasing that they were gonna show up, and then and it never panned into it, and the crowd was just so over it by the time it happened. You run that vignette for 2 weeks. Yeah. And then
not 2 months, 3 months, whatever.
Exactly.
My God.
But because they got Xia Li. Xia Li was one that they ran that forever.
Yeah.
It was weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It was yes, we know, thanks.
And then I think she's shown up maybe 3 times now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I do dig her entrance. Her entrance is pretty sweet.
Yeah. I'll give her that.
Mortal Kombat lightning thing going on.
I am sports entertained when that happens. Did you watch Dynamite?
I did, yeah.
Dude, that MJF CM Punk match was great. And
I was kind of in and out of it.
I love the fact that they put MJF over in Chicago over Punk. I mean, that was great. I kind of had a feeling to me, there was a lot of people online that were just I can't believe the Punk didn't win, or they didn't put Punk over. It's like WWE, you never win in your hometown. It's like Punk's won 3 times in Chicago already.
Yeah, but, all Punk has done since he's joined AEW is
yeah. But you have, especially if you're trying to push MJF towards the title picture, which it seems like that's what they're going to do after he has his feud with Wardlow, which is inevitable.
Is it now?
I think it is.
I mean, we'll see. If they do something with Wardlow, it might not be until he gets in that title picture.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it could happen after. But you have to have him go over Punk.
Yeah.
And Punk didn't come back to win the title. They had him go on this undefeated streak to give him enough credibility so that when MJF beat him, it meant something. If he would have been 2-0 going into the MJF feud, and then he beats Shawn Spears and barely beats Wardlow. It's like whatever. But
but in all fairness, though, Shawn Spears was depleted of energy because he had an orgasm rubbing up against that chair. He was burned.
AEW's got the sexiest chairs.
I guess.
I'm not real into the Lance Archer Hangman feud. Like, I want to see the match because it should be good, but I'm just like, the build is just kind of meh.
Well, I mean, Archer's obviously an established monster, but he's off TV for months, dealing with that injury. So it's definitely a good challenger for Hangman. And I like when Jake the Snake talks, like last night when he was, and he just gets that deep, stern voice, hey, shut up. And, it's just something about Jake the Snake doing that shit makes it, a little bit better, a little bit worthwhile. So
I am go ahead.
I mean, this will be the first really title defense. I mean, he had the Danielson stuff, but so you always got to build with whoever his next challenger is going to be for. I guess what's the next pay-per-view?
I don't know the names of their pay-per-views anymore. I'm just gonna start naming like old ECW ones.
Spring Break.
No, they just had that.
Going to fight at Spring Break.
Bash at the Beach. Actually, don't they do Bash at the Beach? But Starrcade. But well, what else was on that show last night besides, I mean, obviously Danhausen. But sorry, I was excited. I've been kind of quietly championing Danhausen just based on his YouTube stuff. His YouTube stuff's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, so far it hasn't translated really to Dynamite. So.
I think it will eventually.
Yeah.
Especially since it seems like they're putting him in with the best friends because then they're just a bunch of misfits anyway, so he'll kind of fit in a little bit better there. I think if you just plop him into the middle of like a feud with Adam Cole, unless you're already a fan of Danhausen, you're just gonna be like, what?
We were with Dynamite last night. Me and Coco were texting a little bit back and forth yesterday, and we don't really got to get into it too much if you don't want to, but it was interesting how excited Tony Khan was to get Brian Kendrick on the show like a week after his release, and then like 6 hours before the show, something happened with those comments. I don't even know where those comments came from. From my understanding,
they were from a DVD 10 years ago,
which is insane to me. So I mean, it's an interesting just how the difference, how the stark difference between the companies are, because I feel like Tony Khan acknowledges everything that goes on more so with the internet, because obviously Tony Khan is very into social media, and he pipes a lot of his stuff up through social media. So when those types of things happen, they only happen on social media. Like there was nobody having comments sitting there. There was no wrestling fans around the country sitting there talking in groups or one-on-one with people like, oh my God, Brian Kendrick's going to be on AEW tonight. But he made those comments 10 years ago when he was just on NXT, a month ago, getting beat up by Harlan. So I don't know. It's just weird to me how Tony Khan's just, not weird, but it's interesting how Tony Khan feels like he needs to address everything, while WWE is like, we're too big to fail anyway. It's just going to roll off our backs, and whatever the next hot topic, hot button issue is going to be, it's going to come up, and whoever can just deal with it. They can either, deal with it or move on, So it was interesting.
Yeah.
That aspect. The change in 24 hours.
I don't remember these comments because, I mean, maybe they were, but when they started 205, I don't remember there being a big stink about the Brian Kendrick being there.
No, when it was hot, when he was really carrying the torch a little bit there on 205, then none of that stuff was brought up.
Yeah, not that I remember. And if it was,
even,
it was just a very small, very quiet minority of people saying something about it. But
I didn't even know anything was happening until AEW changed the card.
Yeah.
See anything leading up to that at all, and we click that little Twitter app, finger on the pulse a little bit. Like all I do is follow wrestling and stuff on there, but I have nothing about that until they made the announcement that they were changing the card, which was interesting because Kendrick's an interesting guy. Like, I'm just what we'll say in ring persona. Like a lot of the stuff he's done the last couple of years has been very, very good. It just hasn't had in spotlight. And he could have really put on a show last night with Mox. There could have been some really fun stuff in that match. But we'll see what happens if they keep him around. I feel like he's a pretty respectable dude in the business. I feel like he's just with all of his coaching and stuff like that he's done. But I might be wrong. I don't know. Again, perception isn't always reality. So,
although I think Yuta did a good job filling in.
Oh yeah,
it was still a fun match.
Yeah, it was a fun match, and they talked about their history and stuff like that. So that's always cool. That's a good thing AEW does is how they acknowledge history, even though, however small history.
Yeah.
As WWE, when you watch their show, they present their show as you're watching it for the very first time. Like just some random person flipping it on. They basically give you training wheels. Hey, hold on real quick though before you wrap this up, dude. I know I text you, but you gotta let me tell my minor Twitter beef now from the Rumble.
You also, first of all, before we get to the Twitter beef, because that was hilarious. But what was the point you were going to make at the end of the last one?
Oh, about our Rumble moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite Rumble moment of all time was when Kane eliminated CM Punk in 2014 because it officially counted down. It started the 24-hour countdown, so I didn't have to see him on TV for 7 years. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that would have been much better with Truth on.
Yeah, I know. They would have lost their collective shit. But I was so happy for 7 years.
Twitter beef.
So we're sitting here watching the Rumble. My girl was watching it with me, which she was super excited because the Bellers were going to be there. But anyway, so that's why she wanted to watch the match.
That's the first and only time I've ever heard that sentence.
She loves the Bellas, dude. But anyway,
somebody has to buy their merch.
You hear all hail the Queen Zelina, and out walks Zelina Vega, and just real nonchalant, she looks at me and goes, "Zelina Vega out here looking like Lord Farquaad," and I fucking lost it. I thought it was the funniest shit. This is one of the funniest things she's ever said. For those that don't know, Lord Farquaad is the character from Shrek, the really short Lord.
From the first one.
Yeah. Well, and the first one
he was the main antagonist of the first Shrek movie. Okay, we'll just go with that.
And that was the best Shrek movie. So let's get that out of the way.
Not gonna
just a little fun. I go on Twitter and I comment on Zelina Vega's post about her entrance, and I said, "Hey, Tia Trinidad, I really enjoyed your Lord Farquaad cosplay." Well, holy shit. Everybody coming out of the woodwork. Dude, you're way off. That's not Lord Farquaad. That's Madara Uchichi or Uchi or whatever. Apparently this guy's from Naruto.
From Naruto.
Which I never watched as a kid. All right. Forgive me, Naruto fans. Madara Uchi. And so everybody starts piling on about how I'm an idiot when clearly they're the ones that didn't get the joke. And my favorite one, there he is, Lord Farquaad.
Can't really see it because of all the light. But yeah, this is his tweet. And he posts that picture. And my favorite part of it all is the one guy that didn't understand it was a joke is a fellow by the name of Neil Kaplan, who is the voice of Majera Uchichi. And he's also a voice actor for Optimus Prime.
I guess when the cartoon.
One time.
That's it.
Not to be confused with Mr. Cullen, who is the legend that does the actual voice of Optimus Prime.
Well, the guy's got a shit ton of followers on Twitter, but he was liking the replies to my Lord Farquaad that I was an idiot because people didn't understand that I was just making a joke, and they took it seriously. So
yeah,
I had fun with that on Twitter on Saturday night, and it just goes to show you, even a little schmuck like me could get under the skin of some Naruto fans, which I've never watched an episode of Naruto in my life. So sorry that I offended you, but not really.
That was pretty funny because I'm sitting there Sunday morning and I get this text. It's like, yeah, I think I pissed off Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
like,
right.
And I had to read that like 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, what? How did Transformers just become real? And then, I started, he was sending the stuff to me. And yeah, there were just some people it wasn't a ton. You didn't get like a ton of comments.
No, it was enough. It was more than enough. They were all
very, very mad at you for getting the wrong.
And the joke just went right over the head.
The one person that I think probably would have gotten it, and while been mildly irritated because of all the work put in, would have probably on some level appreciated it, Zelina Vega. Like, had she
I was hoping to get a little. I was hoping to get some love from Zelina, but she didn't do nothing with it. So.
She probably saw all the beef going, all the heat. She was like, "I'm staying out of this."
Yeah, I figured if her voice. So the guy did the All Hail the Queen at the beginning. That was that Neil Kaplan guy.
Oh, okay.
Actually, did the voice for her music. So she would. They were sharing a bunch of each other's stuff, over the weekend and with the Rumble and stuff like that. So that's probably why she didn't. Didn't involved because Neil got pissed because somebody thought that his character was Lord Farquaad. I thought Optimus Prime was Shrek too. I mean, they just look so similar. Such similar characteristics. Leaders of a faction. What else we got?
This is why I very rarely say anything on Twitter. 90% of the time, because here I'm gonna a little bit behind the curtain. When I have my Big Papa Grump TBOD Twitter account, and then there's an official Board of Doom Twitter. I run both. So anything the Board of Doom actually says is me tweeting in character of the Board of Doom. Anytime you see a tweet from Big Papa Grump, it's just me being me. Yeah. But I very rarely tweet ever, and usually the only time I either tweet as myself or the board, other than the automatic tweets that go out from the Board of Doom whenever we post a video, because it'll be like, do you want to post on Twitter? It's like, yeah, sure. Is roasting Uppercut.
Yeah.
There's a history of me roasting Uppercut on Twitter that he's still angry about some of it. Good. He tries to get me back because of the one time I said I love Baron Corbin's Deep Six, knowing that it was a knowing that I was going down that road, of oh, there's several meanings to that. Yeah. But he still harps on that. It's like, dude, that was 4 years ago. Baron Corbin had hair when I made that comment.
Well, Tiger, Uppercut can't appreciate that everybody loves Baron Corbin's Deep Six. So it's past
That's what I say.
Everybody
does. But I forget what it was. But there was something on I could look it up, but I'm not gonna waste time doing it. Maybe for next time. But he said something on Twitter, and I responded, and he took it as way more sicker a burn than it actually I think was. But I mean, I got him a little bit. But it was all in good fun. But he was like, "Ooh," he's like, "Oh, I think that's at least second degree." So,
hey, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah. So, but yeah, as you can see, nobody else could make it. We were gonna have Uppercut on, but he's got school stuff going on. Junior's having technical problems. We'll call it. Truth is having moving problems, I guess. I don't know. And Shez is just had other commitment. So yeah, but I didn't do an intro, so I'm not going to do an outro. So bye.